Aloha, Ohana. Today we're going to be getting into some more Spiritfarer, and we're going to see what happens. I hope everyone is having a good Thursday. But let's see where it takes us. Gotta improve Bruce and Mickey's house. I gotta get a tuna tataki. Let's Astrid live her best life. Search for... I gotta improve Gustav's gallery and tell the woodworker that his partner will take him back in. Build a smithy. And head to Oxbury with Beverly. I think we're at Oxbury right now. Yeah, we are. So... let's head out. Sweet pea! I hope you'll consider making it up to me. My old home is very important. To make sure there isn't any more confusion, here's what it should look like. We lived on a farm, there was nature all around us, we had dogs and goats running around everywhere. It was a quaint little farmhouse. It wasn't run down and it had character. It was big enough for the whole family. Better? That should be clear as day. I hope we'll be right this time. And chin up, sweet pea, it's only a setback. As you know, I'm allowed to be bossy because I'm very old. Oh, Beverly. The good word is spectacular, okay? Let's talk to you. What do you have? What can I sell you anything? No, I mean, I can sell you those. Yeah, I'll just sell you the sawdust. What are you doing here? Listen, well, I don't know about you, Munchkin, but this place is a trash hole. If she wants that worthless riffraff, she can have him. I won't shed a tear for him. I've got better things to do. I won't have him back either. You'll be stuck with his problems, not me. It's all fun and games right now. You'll be crying your little eyes out soon enough, harlot. Wow! She big mad. Guess we just go back to the ship then. Because I need to go back to that park to talk to the woodworker guy. And figure out what I need for Beverly's house now. What do I need for her house? Silk fabric and clear sheet glass, which I don't know how to make the clear sheet glass. Okay. Yeah, I'll see you. What do you want? Listen, I'll let you in on a secret. If you keep your mouth shut, you'll be fine. Did you know that garlic has secret properties? Yeah, I know. Sounds far-fetched, but it's true. My mom made garlic every day and never got sick. That's my favourite food has always been garlic bread. It's kept my body in tip-top shape. Now, you need to take this advice to your grave. So, he likes garlic bread. Got it. And I have the recipe for that. I just gotta find it. Where is it? That's cake. Wheat flour and garlic. I don't have wheat flour, so I'll have to go make that. In the glass place? What glass place, though? Also, hi. Have pancakes. No. I do not. I only have a crusher. I don't think I have a place to make glass yet. Oh, jeez. I'm gonna have to turn that down. Give me a second. There we go. Let's see. I want to go to the bus stop first. And then we're gonna put wheat in here. Cotton wool. Let's make some cotton thread just to be safe. Bunch of stuff to sell. That works. Plant a carrot seed there. Got a lot of stuff to harvest. Alright, coffee beans will go there. Sugar cane there. Sunflower there. Oh, I hear you, Alex! Let's travel, buddy. I need to go... Was he at Ambertown? I know he wasn't at Flotsam. And I know he wasn't at Samber. Is he at Edgeborough? No. I feel like maybe he was at Ambertown. Because I know he wasn't at Sandwich Walk. No, he's at Sunspring, that's right. Go to Sunspring and check on everyone. Alright, you're hungry. Okay. I'll fed the owl. And owl improve. Right, I've gotta go talk to the dude first. I can't do anything till I talk to the guy, I guess, to get the improved thing. I've got a black tiger shrimp. Alright. Okay, we've got the windmill going. Oh, thank you for the posture check and the drink. Ah! Oh. Okay, how do you have 3 hands? Explain yourself. It's quite simple. I'm waiting for the explanation. What? I have a mushroom child. What? Why did you? How? What? Huh? Mushroom child. Hi, mushroom child. Wow, your hat is so big. Man, look at that cat. Wow. Mine a garden? Is this a boat on water? Oh, this is wild. Catch this. It was in the ground with me. See ya. Mushroom child! What? Huh? Huh? How? How? Huh? I'm very confused. The trees are sick. Okay, I'll cut them down. I grew a mushroom child. How? I'm so confused. Am I crazy, or did Mushroom Child have 4 arms? I swear Mushroom Child had 4 arms. Okay, so I'm not nuts. I mean, I might be a little bit. Good God. Where did that guy go? See you. I thought that guy was here, the one that was supposed to be doing... Hi. The one that was supposed to do the, desk. For the dice game! Respect the dice, boys. Oh, I'm sorry, I was singing along to the song. It's pretty good. Okay. You actually went to the sandwich walk? You saw my brother. He told you to come back here, and you came back. Prank! Classic Derek. We used to always prank villagers here together. Yeah, we got you. Hard. So very hard. In your face, random traveler. You need to stop listening to random unhelpful randos in the streets. Wow, I love the feeling of pranking someone. I should start doing this more often. Classic me. Oh, I miss my brother. I actually kind of feel bad now. Not for the prank. That makes me feel great. Just for my brother not being here. Here, take this. I'll tell everyone you robbed me. It'll make you sound cooler than you actually are. Okay. Wait, Mushroom Child is in our room. What? What? Ah, you woke me up. Your room is itchy. I don't like to sleep in here. Where should I sleep? The guest house? Yes, I can make it Stanley's room. The Mushroom Child has a name. His name is Stanley. I get it. Thanks, Big Hat. How did I end up with a Mushroom Child? still questioning how I ended up with a mushroom child. This is the strangest thing ever! I'm so confused. You know, maybe I should just stop trying to figure it out and just embrace the fact that I have a four-armed mushroom child. You hungry? Do you want this? Oh, thanks. This is so good. This is nice. There's so much room. I can get used to this. Stanley's room is going to be great. Oh, okay. Okay, right. I'm just gonna learn not to question it. I think it's safer if I just don't question how I ended up with a child that's a mushroom. Morning! Okay, so I need wheat flour and I don't remember the other thing! And garlic. Let's mine this zinc. Come here, zinc ore. That's plant quartz. Carbon. Coal. And more zinc is fine, yeah. Yeah, I'm done. Come give this garlic bread to these two. Okay, a little bit of garlic bread. Let me get reacquainted with my favourite food. Don't mind if I do. that's Sandwich Walk. Maybe that Ambertown Park? I don't really remember, so we'll head over to the bus stop to go to Ambertown. But I have to pause here and run ads because they're doing 6 minutes, and that way those who come in are not hit with pre-rolls. It also helps support the channel if I run ads. But if you're so inclined to support the channel further, you can either subscribe by dropping a Twitch Prime sub or a regular sub, or you can do !UDI and purchase an UDI using my discount code, which also helps support the stream. But I'll see everyone on the other side. And welcome back from ads, Ohana. Let's get back into this. We are currently sailing to the bus stop. So let's do some fishing, I guess. Oh, mahi-mahi. Let's go. I know! Here, have a cherry. Okay. Worst we can get to Ambertown is this one. So go to that one. That bus stop over there. You want decorations? I know. And you have planks. Thank you for the ash planks. This is nice. There's so much room. I'm used to this. Stanley Dream's gonna be great. You want a hug? Oh my god, the little mushroom jumps into your arms! This is great! Okay, I may really like the little mushroom now. It's not an edible mushroom. I don't like the food. The food is gross. Okay, the food mushroom is gross. I'm entitled to that. I'm supposed to meet a date today. This is the first time we'll meet in real life. I've been stressing about it for days now. I just couldn't wait in my apartment anymore, so I got here a few hours before this date actually starts. I hope his tastes align with mine. Okay, here's the deal. Let me practice on you. I'll start with some small talk, something casual, something funny, something out of the ordinary, like, do you like fries? No, that's boring. Of course I'll say yes. Let me think. I just need something to wet my whistle. Why are you doing this? Oh, yeah, right. I'll be picking up sword. Hope to work on these. Okay. You. Hello, stranger. You talked to her? She said she'll have me back? Incredible. No more sleeping in the park. No more surviving off trash. Back to my dream life. Leisure and good food all day long. Thank you. Thank you so much. As a sign of appreciation, I'll even wave my feet. There you go. Here's the final design. Look at the curves. Look at the perfect fit of the materials. Truly a masterpiece. Thank you for your patronage. Tell all your friends. Cough, cough. Okay. What about this? How many brothers and sisters do you have? That doesn't work either. What if he doesn't have any? What if he only has sisters? What if he only has brothers? The family angle never works. My friend Becca says that talking about family is a death trap. No one has a perfect family. Well, except me. Let me think of something else. What about this? Do you like bears? Not polar bears, silly. Mountain bears, especially brown bears. I've never been a cat person, but bears I love. I got to hold one on a trip once, a cub. It was the nicest and most cuddliest thing in my arms ever. I really hope he likes bears. Let me think of a little more. What about this now? Do you like to stand on the edge of tall buildings? I always feel like I want to jump, but the vertigo sets in. I always close my eyes for a few seconds. Then I think that it wouldn't be that fun to jump. But don't worry, I don't go on tops of buildings that often. What about that? Ashley with that. What do you think? No. I'll play it safe and stick with what is his favourite colour or something. Thanks. Yeah, I don't think saying to somebody, hey, I like to stand on the top of buildings is something you should really lead with. That just sounds like a big no. Stella! Look, Big Cat! I did what you told me. This guest house is now Stanley's room. But it's not entirely ready yet. I still need to find a bunch of stuff to make it nice. Want to help? Well, could you? That would be great. I need some linen fabric. I'm making something. I can't tell you what it is. It's a secret. Do I have linen? I do. Oh! And it's the soft kind. Thank you so much, Big Cat. You're the best. I can't believe I'm on this ship. I heard a seagull earlier, I think. That is so cool. Well, I think. Might have been a pigeon or my stomach rumbling, but if it was that, it was pretty awesome. Alright, so Mushroom Child has just decided that this is their room now. That's the silver dragon, which I don't need. I'm gonna go back to the bus stop. Let's get that started. Find out what we need for this desk. Silver and silk, gosh. I don't have either one. I need nebula thread for an orchard. He turned the guest house into his own little tree house. So, I have to build another guest house, I guess? Cause Stanley took over the guest house. Thanks, Stanley. I'm gonna head over to Albert's. Make sure you guys are watered. Okay, that's multiple waterings, fine. I need to see... I need an orchard for mulberry tree. Okay. And what does orchard require? Nebula threads, right. And I can't make any nebula thread because I don't have anything to make it with. So that's gonna be the next thing. Albert, ship you. Hi there. This place is missing something. Oh, I know. It needs to have a fancy decoration. It needs something awesome. A treasure. Something that looks shiny and valuable. A tchotchke, maybe? Anything. A gift. Please, Big Hat. Do I have a... Oh, yeah, door. Here you go. Wow, so cool. That's perfect. This is the last finishing touch to my masterpiece. My super special, awesome secret room. It might look odd, but it hides many secret passages and other types of cool stuff. It's my home now. Don't worry, I'll clean all this stuff on the windows. Which reminds me, you had a ghost beetle in there hiding in your sofa. You probably didn't notice him. Ghost beetles are very good at hiding. But he's my friend now. His name is Jacob. He told me he could see things no one else can. Jacob is cool. He's got superpowers. Maybe I'll let you play with him someday. Alright. Whatever you say, kid. Whatever makes this child happy, I guess. Although that's kind of sad, because if you think about it, he's a child. And these are spirits. That's sad. Well, well, well. Looks like someone can't keep her crew happy. A little birdie told me you don't even have a guest house. What kind of ship are you running there? Where does your crew sleep? On the deck? With water splashing all over them? With the seagulls pecking at their hands? No, no, no. I don't want to hear your excuses. You need to get your ducks in order. If you don't build them a guest house, they might mutiny. I've seen it happen to better captains than you. This one captain fell overboard with a pick sticking out of his back. If the fall didn't do him, the piranha sure did. Rah ha ha. Well, good talk. Enjoy the rest of the day. It's going to be a scorcher. Got that upgrade. Ooh. I need to get 5 more silica powder and more zinc. Okay. Alright, let's build this guest. Let's edit first. And then build another guest house. Oh, oh! Hey, Stella, what do you think of them? You know, the dust shades on the boat. I mean, they're funny looking, but they're so gloomy all the time. And once they're here, they cling to you like chewed gum and never really leave you alone. They bother me, you know. I wish they'd be gone. They make me and everyone sad. What? You've never seen them? Huh? That's weird. Oh, I know. Jacob can help you. He can see them too. He's a ghost beetle after all, and you can bring him with you. He loves it when we take him out of his box. You just have to touch the glass and he'll jump out to fly with you. And then you'll see them too. But you'll have to catch them to make them go away. Careful though, they're super fast. Put on your running shoes. Okay. Oh, this is how I get ectoplasm. Cool. Did you see that? They were everywhere. Now that they're gone, I feel I can breathe again. The dust shades are kind of cool, though. They glow and run fast. Real fast. I don't glow. I can't run that fast. I wish I could. One day, maybe. Don't worry, Big Hat. If the dust shades ever come back, I'll tell you right away. And if you want to get rid of them, you touch the glass. You go touch the glass in my room to wake up Jacob. Oh, you want something else? Okay. What about this? Whoa, thanks. This is so good. Alright, I need to get more 5 more silica. Okay, that's the silica done. Stella, Munchkin, I am so tired, so old. I can't do it anymore. I can't go much further. Will you do me a favor, please? No, Astrid! No! I mean, I knew she'd be going eventually. I knew Astrid would be going eventually, but I didn't think this soon. She's not allowed to leave yet. I'm making... What? You could put the shoes in the incinerator? What? I'm very confused why I could put shoes in here. I'm really confused. I've gone from I have a mushroom child to now I can stick the shoes where you make bars for building. What? I've made glue with shoes. I could put fish in there? Huh? Why can I put fish in the foundry? I'm confused. Fish and shoes. That's a very weird thing you can put in the foundry. Make it make sense. What does fish make? A failed experiment. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, I've now got the bars to upgrade the ship. Hey, Big Hat, I'm bored. Bored and angry. We never get to play around. It's always so strict on this boat. Why don't we have some fun? What if you could put anything you wanted in those machines? Like the foundry. Yeah, that would be incredible. Let's throw some junk into it. Maybe an old shoe. Gross but fun. I did that! Okay, you're talking about the dust shades. Okay, don't put apples in there. It's a failed experiment. I know, don't forget, I know. I once had a friend who cut his own tire. He had a new one made of rubber. He was called Roberto. Don't have enough to upgrade the ship to the Silent Orca, but that's okay. But I now have the ability to build a garden, not a garden, a cow stall, a cellar, and a smithy. Do this for the smithy. I only have one ore, but that's fine. I think I need comet powder is what it said. Have to go double check that. Comet powder, pulsar ingot, ash plank, and silica powder. So I need one more pulsar ingot, and I need 12 silica powder. Improve the guest house again. I need clear glass sheet to improve Astrid's bungalow. She ain't leaving till I improve it. You have quartz and aluminium on you. I'm gonna check out these crates real quick. I'm not cooking with household glue. That's no. Alright, sunflower seeds planted. Now, I need to see what I need for another orchard. Nebula thread, right. Because I can't... I don't think I have the thing to upgrade it. No, I don't. Got some quartz. What's in the box? Coffee beans, carrot seed, linen, my empty bottle, and makeup maple log. Morning. Have some eggs. Stella, what do I have to do to get fed? Send you a letter? No! Cake. You don't want cake? Okay. Sweet coffee. Okay, you don't want sweet anything. Shellfish stew. Head over to Francis. Here's your garlic bread. Okay, fine. You don't want garlic breads again. Okay. How about cake? Oh, hey, big hat. Do you have a favorite passenger? Wait. Don't tell me. It's your secret. I have one too. It's my secret. Wait. What if it's the same one? Oh! Now I kind of have to know. Oh no, it's gonna bug me the whole day. Please tell me. Come on. Wait, no, don't tell me. Oh fudge, I shouldn't have said anything. Never mind. Alright, I need silica powder. This is so easy! found this in my room and I thought you might need it. Oh, thanks, kid. What you got, Francis? An old shoe, old seeds. I'll get the old seeds. Sell these. Do I have anything I can give him? I could give him that for garlic. That's fine. Let's talk to you, Francis. I'm immensely chipper to see a dynamic young lady being so hard at work. Not that Chiron wasn't a true professional, but his manners were a little bit cold, if you know what I mean. And he kept everything he found. What a pity. But you're here now. Huzzah, if I dare say. Oh, and don't fret, budding mariner. If ever needed, old Francis will never be too far, but don't let me be an impediment to your appetite for adventure. Go on, set sail, little blue jacket. Back to the bus stop. Plant these old seeds. What are the flowers? I'm gonna travel up here to go talk to Susan. Because Susan has stuff for me, even though she hates me. Astrid! I love you, Astrid. Check on the sheep. Oh, they're very hungry. But not my stereo. Sold my bed, but not my stereo. Yeah? What you guys want? I know you want decorations. Alright, Susan. I'm coming for a visit, Susan. I've still gotta figure out how I can fish up a tuna. Since our pain. lord, congratulations, you're halfway through catching and asphyxiating half the fish types in this world. Are you also cooking them afterward and serving them to your passengers? This is... Ugh, I don't want to think about this. Take this and leave. She's so bitchy! Well done. We are but mere mortals in your presence. Tell us, O great Spiritfarer, what can I possibly give you that would quench your immense appetite? Well, this concludes the thrilling saga of how many gems you can bring me. Don't forget not to write, arrogant know-it-all. Ooh! Crusher upgrade! What do you want? It's ingots now. Oh, that's just great. I can't wait for you to smelt new ingots. I'm kidding. I couldn't care for a second. I wish you'd smelt that boat of yours down. Go away now. Take this. God! Why are you so bitchy? Why is she such a fucking bitch? Seriously. Alright, Crusher. What do I need to upgrade you? Carbon and Pulsar Ingot, of course. She's just... I don't know. I don't know if she's stuck up there or not. Because she said she broke the ladder. Because she didn't want anyone bothering her. So I'd imagine she's just bitchy because she's bitchy. Because what I remember her saying was she broke the ladder because she didn't want anyone bothering her. Oh, darling, this is a corner to try, but no, I can't let myself be tempted. Anything sweet would be against my principles. I don't have many, but I have at least this one. Another facet of my existence is revealed. As a citizen of the world, I consider all food to stand on equal footing. This might be exotic to some, but I consider it a must. I'm waiting for the next big star. Let me be. Goodbye. I'm sorry! I'm sorry! I can turn it off. I mean, it's a good song, but yes, it is emotional damage.
Emotional damage!
Yep. Yep. That's definitely emotional damage, the song. Hi, Henry, how are you? I'm just over here causing emotional damage to people. Well, you know, causing emotional damage by playing a song. I'm good though. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Oh no, what did you do? Can't be as bad as what I did. I had to hide what I did. That's why there's no VOD. Oh, see, that's not as bad as what I did. Okay? Let's just say what I did could have potentially got me in a lot of issues. Could have potentially had a lot of issues for me. And that's why there's no VOD. Yeah. I don't have a brain. Let's just say Kaiser had to message me in DMs and go, you're gonna wanna not have your VOD up. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. A name might have happened to pop up on stream that shouldn't have. On accident. Cause I forgot I was desktop sharing. And not games capturing. So I fixed that issue. And it will never happen again. Yeah! Yeah, you know. I, made a big old boo-boo. I got the damn tuna! Get wrecked, you stupid fish! Email's nothing compared to what I did. Tuna and a savory veggie. Yeah, so, I've learned my lesson. I fixed that issue. It'll never happen again. I mean, I'm an alien demon, and I had a moment of brain go boop. My brain just said, ha 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 ha, don't work. You would think I had a brain. What's that? I don't know. That's why I have a routine that's literally just says, brain is loading. What's for lunch? I'm hungry. It's illegal to let children go hungry. You want some tea? Well, I don't think I can eat that. My mother always said I couldn't. What's a stimulant anyway? You want?
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message. I love you. Now, back to our show.
I love you too. Want that? That smells real odd, Big Hat. Are those things veggies? Because they sure look like veggies. I don't eat veggies. Veggies are gross. Cake? I have to do the dance, the dessert dance. I do it when I'm happy. I'll eat this delicious dessert first. It's dessert time. So yummy. Turn it to Taki! Made! Okay, Gustav's been given. Corn dog. I think it was noodle soup was the other thing. Yep, done. We just need a place to eat now. I don't think the deck is the right place for a 5-course meal. What about the big city, Hummingberg? That island with the shrine and the nice tables. Nothing too fancy, but still a night on the town. I'll make us a nice spot. Let's head over there. This is Corpse Husband. He made music, before he kind of disappeared from the internet. I like his music. It's a shame he disappeared from the internet. But crazy people be crazy and basically forced him off. Yes, that is the guy with the voice. Deep-ass voice. Yeah, people be crazy and they basically made it so he didn't want to be on the internet anymore. What do you have? Okay, I need to go to Hummingberg, which I think is over this way. Yes. I happened to really enjoy his music. Yeah, Among Us stuff is what kind of made him blow up. was that and, you know, obviously his voice. But that's what made him really get big, and unfortunately, fans and people on the internet don't respect boundaries and kept trying to dox him and get him to reveal his face, which he said he wasn't comfortable doing, and he said he wasn't even comfortable doing it in real life. He actually wears a mask everywhere because he has, like, anxiety issues and stuff, and people just couldn't fucking respect it, and it got to so bad he just decided he was done with the internet. And it's kind of shitty, you know? That people don't know how to respect boundaries. Because he wasn't even a Vtuber, he was a faceless streamer completely. Oh god, really? That is not bullying. No, I agree. And I mean, it's the same kind of thing with VTubers too, you know. We get the same thing of, why don't we see your face? Why aren't you hiding your face? What do you have to hide? You're not an idiot, Kaiser, would you stop it? It's really obnoxious. I'll never understand Twitch's moderation system. Sprout, this looks great. I knew you'd put through, and everyone made it. Are you ready to eat? Alright. Thank you so much for being here, being gathered here. Couldn't have done it all alone. This feels like a real family dinner. You've all made me feel part of your family. And of course, Stella, my niece. Thank you. Alright, I'll stop talking now. Just dig in. But yeah, unfortunately, that's the thing that faceless streamers and VTubers face, is people want to know, like, want to invade your privacy. And they don't care if you have boundaries. And it's a real shame. Well, I get that people are curious. I can understand that. But, you know, you also have to respect boundaries. And if someone says, I don't want to show my face, and I will not show my face, respect it. How hard is that? I might take a chance of just sitting down. I might get some bruises. This feeling got me thinking. I might find you at the right time. Yeah, and that's the thing, like, he outright told people he will not be doing a face reveal. It will not happen. And people didn't care. They didn't respect it. door downstairs. Now anyone can come up here. I don't want these downstairs jerks up here. See, and that's the thing. That's why I am so angered by people like that. Like, yes, there are people who know what I look like in real life. And the people who know, they know. You know, and I would hope the ones that know would never go so far as to try and leak my face. See, and that's one thing, like, you can give somebody a hug or whatever if they're okay with it. Like, I know the indie VTuber Cinder, for example, she goes to conventions and people have seen what she looks like in terms of, like, her body type and things like that. But when she goes to these conventions, she dresses up as her model and puts a mask on her lower half of her face. And, you know, that's her choice, but you shouldn't force somebody to do that just because you want to know what they look like. Plant that odd seed. But unfortunately, that's the culture of the internet and the culture of people on the internet. They're not gonna, sometimes they're just not gonna respect, and it's kind of gross. Not kind of, it is gross. Because they'd be the first one to throw a fit if someone didn't respect them. And they'd make a big deal out of it. Let's feed these chickens. We do have ads in 8 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna pause here. I'm gonna run ads, that way those who come in aren't hit with pre-rolls. And it also helps support the channel, but more importantly, it also prevents ads from interrupting anything I'm doing. So I will see everyone on the other side. Frozen pizza! Welcome back from Ado, Hannah. Oh, that's good though. Frozen pizza. Never to dine some garlic bread. Okay. I need to remember where to get pulsar or a nebula thread. Nebula thread, I think, is over here with these little guys. This is what I think, if I remember correctly. I mean, gamers tech, that's a gamer thing for sure. Go for the frozen pizza. It's easy to make and quick to grab. He'll have chicken on pizza if he's with me. Because I love some chicken on pizza. I'm weird, and I know this. I like chicken and pasta and pizza. Listen, you want to know what shouldn't go on pizza? Pineapple. Pineapple should not go with pizza. I said it. Fight me. And you want to know why I said it? I'm allergic to pineapple. I mean, I'm allergic, like I said, to pineapple, so... Yes, I am. I'm allergic to a lot of strange things. The biggest thing that I'm allergic to is onions. Onions is the biggest. I cannot smell them, nor can I eat them. If I smell them or I consume them, I will go into anaphylaxis. I have to carry a medication to stop it. I have to carry an EpiPen. If I don't carry my EpiPen, I could possibly unalive from onions. True. Very true. Yeah, sadly, I am allergic to a lot of stuff. Or it is. It's a big pain. I have a lot of food allergies, unfortunately. But onions is the biggest one. The rest of them are more just don't consume them. So I kind of know how to stay away. Well, Okay, so onion allergy is extremely rare. Basically, only 3% of the entire population in the world is allergic to onions. Most of them not to the extremity that I am. Most of them, it's to the extremity of they just can't consume them. Or you could be allergic to anything. I mean, there are people out there that are allergic to water. There are people out there that are allergic to sunlight. You can be allergic to anything. Yeah, water. There's a comedian that I follow on Facebook. Yeah, Facebook. And he's allergic to water. He can't have it on his skin or at all or anything, or it will cause him severe burns and rashes, basically, on his body. So a lot of people who are allergic to water have to use those bathing cloths that they make for, like, when you're in the hospital and you can't get out of bed to shower or bathe. And some of them, they just unfortunately choose the difficult road and they bathe and stuff, but they have to suffer with, like, the rashes and stuff after and use medication to get rid of it. Oh, I know it does. Yeah, it's not... And the sunlight one, I just could not imagine how having to deal with that. I would feel... like, I just don't know how people with that allergy deal. I made fruit candy! I'm not... With the sunlight one, I know... I saw a thing about... Disney World did one time. They had a bunch of kids who had the sunlight allergy. And adults too, I believe, come to Disney World after hours when it was dark. And they could be out. And they had the whole park going for them so that they could experience the park because they wouldn't have been able to otherwise. Yeah, sunlight. We take a lot of things for granted. No, they unfortunately are just people who have an unfortunate allergy. I don't know how I would deal with that. Now, if we're talking about vampires, those are based on diabetics. Not even kidding. I love the cold. I prefer the cold over the heat, but that's because I have health issues that make it where I'm constantly warm. So I'd much rather be cold. I did just stick a single thing of flour in here. I have no idea what's gonna happen. It's called In the Shadows by the Rasmus. I love this song. I like a lot of their stuff. Yeah, that's him. The music video for this is really cool, too. I made shrimp tempura! Look at me go. Tomatoes are in. Gotta plant more sunflowers because I need food for my chickens. It was also really big here in the States. On the radio for a very long time. But that's unfortunately this is the only song they're known for in the States. They have a lot of other good songs, too. Good morning! Come here, child. Have some candy! You're welcome! I gave this small child candy. The mushroom child. That I somehow grew. In my garden. I'm not questioning it. And I'm just gonna say it's safer if you don't question it either. Why are you sad? Nah. I apologise if you hear train. The spaceship is close to train tracks. This day's going to be a long one. Sure. Doing some mining. No! What the... Damn it! Shit! I want that one that's up there. There we go, got it. Oh, Kaiser. See, and this is the thing, he says he can't flirt. He lies. He totally can. Bull honky! No! Fuck! There we go! Oh! That led to nowhere. All the coal! Back to work, I suppose. Ooh! Secrets! Iron. I'll take that. Even though I don't think I really need iron anymore. I really don't think I need iron anymore, but eh. Down this way, I guess. This was the secret. And that's Astrid, and I'm not letting her leave. Not until I complete her house, at least. There we go. There, got that secret. I don't know what else is here. I feel like there's stuff here, but I just don't know where. That was that secret. Nothing here. Takes us back to the entrance. Let's see. There's got to be a reason for these, right? Okay, so there is a thing, it's just, how do I get up there? Because there's no more of these. Huh. Yeah, I guess. Either that or I'm missing something. I might be missing an upgrade. Probably missing an upgrade that I'm gonna get later on. That's about what I'm thinking, is there's an upgrade that I'm missing at the moment for my character. Knowing my luck, that's it. Yeah, I'm probably missing something. Oh, I made clam cakes. Okay. Figuring out all these recipes is a good thing. Time to bring babies back to their mother. Come here, little baby. Come here, you. No. Yeah, sometimes. But with this one, I've kind of just been doing whatever. I haven't really picked, like, I'm kind of picking and choosing, I guess, but not really. With this game, I feel like the side quests help advance the story, oddly enough. This is one of those that definitely feels that way. Where you actually have to do them in order to get anywhere. Which is kind of nice, honestly. I like it. But it feels like doing the side stuff isn't just a task. It's actually something you need to do. I'm not even halfway through the game yet. Everything links. Yeah, I'm not even halfway through this game yet. Which surprises me. Because every time I start the game up, it shows you the percentage. And I was at like 30 something, I think. Let me pause for a second, I can find out. Almost 24 hours. Almost a whole day. According to Steam, anyway. And that's through several different streams of playing it. It says, right now it's saying 21.4 or something like that. I'll buy the one thing of meat from him and some lettuce. And I did not mean to buy the opal, but I can just sell it back. Oh, don't ruin my umbrella with your jumping and your bouncing. Let's keep it clean, please. Nope. No. By the 11 stars, I knew you would come, the chosen one, the Spiritfarer. A mere glimpse of your white sail on the horizon, gleaming with hope and virtue suffice to brighten my soul. A simple glance at your glorious galleon made my heart race in awe. Praised be Halor. You are here, Commander. One can only bow in front of your illustrious presence. I am Muck, your humble servant and narrator. My modest presence on your august vessel will guide your footsteps on the path to glory. Oh, may the radiant Fae bless your hat forever. This is a grand day, the joy overwhelming me as tall as Mount Faradas, vast as the great sea. To the vessel! Okay? Right. That was something. That was, interesting. I think they might have. I think they might have forgotten punctuation. Ooh, I got a recipe for tomato pizza. I mean, I'm happy I got new guy. I don't know what else to say. Oh, well, what do you want? My poor umbrella? I don't. New guy, yes, let's go. You hungry? He hungry. Humble thanks, Commander. The sustenance is right on time. My hunger was reaching level 1. Let's make haste. I can't wait to bootstrap this all. Is he a parrot dragon? Huh? Over here. Words can't aptly describe the immensity of my joy, Commander. At the idea of my humble presence here on this very deck, but also as I gaze into the stars and impatiently wait for our future adventures to unfold. Commander, the duty of knowledge rests heavily on my frail shoulders. I must inform you of your mission, laid ahead of us by the torturous vicissitudes of fate itself. Your task is of the utmost importance. Sir, you are using a lot of big words. With your power and the cruel and terrible Lich God Gorn Nemoloth can finally be defeated. Make a fear check. He's playing Dungeons and Dragons? What? 15. You sense a cold shiver slithering down your spine. Your courage jumps forth, and your mind stays clear and untroubled at the sound of this name. Gorn Nemoloth wants to conquer the sun itself. He conspires to steal the light itself. You must stop him at once. Only your powers can shield the world from this unholy plot. The bulwark of the stars will make the sky whole once more. But before we delve further into the treacherous plans of a Lich God, some preparations are in order. Your humble narrator here needs a little something before we venture forth on our grand journey. In the shadowy alleys of Edgeborough Line lies an emporium of great interest, a bazaar whose gilded cabinets harbour artifacts of epic value and great rarity. Its owner, an eccentric shopkeeper, is in equal parts shoddy and unscrupulous. The scoundrel has got in his possession a unique scroll I covet. On this magic scroll, it is written in great details how to erect a very special mage tower, a layer of infinite wonders. Only the scroll will allow you to build it, so I, your modest chronicler, can set my quarters in it. Onward, let's go forth toward the wretched shores of the Emerald City. Edgeborough Lane is kind of green, after all. It is a parrot dragon! Look at him! That was a lot of words! That is one long-winded DM! Good God! Good Lord! I don't fancy talking to him a lot! Holy! Totally. He's not making up for anything with big words. He's lucky I know the words he was saying. Goodness. He probably is using a word of the day calendar. You're probably not wrong. And today's word is facetious. He hasn't told me his name yet. Typically, the characters tell you their name. I mean, I could check my quests and see if we get a name from the quests. Let's see. Do we get a name if I check quests? Buck! His name is Buck! His name is Buck! Close enough, Greg! Good morning! See, look, he's a fucking parrot dragon! Or is that a griffin? Which, I wouldn't call him a griffin. Yeah, I chose to pick the word facetious. Of all names seems for them to pick Buck. Hi, Stormy. How are you? Commander, I'm sorry to require but a fragment of your precious time, but I gladly accept a modest meal. A vile hunger tortures my innards. Oh, blessed be the stars. I salute your insight, Commander. You astutely guessed that my heart would be brimming with joy at the sight of a good old-fashioned meal, an ancestral delight of epic resonance. Many thanks. May the lords of Water Elrond accompany you on your path. Oops, sorry I spit on you a bit. I'm wondering if you're not wrong, and it is short for Buckbeak, like the Griffin from Harry Potter. Although he don't look very Griffin-like, does he? He looks more like a dragon, like a parrot dragon, like I said. Oh, lucky you. Let's go check on the mushroom child. Food time! Stella, I'm hungry. I want food. Show me what you got. Do I have dessert. There you go, have cake. Parrot dragon is too simplistic. It needs a batter. Another facet of my existence is revealed. As a citizen of the world, I consider all food to stand on equal footing. This might be exotic to some, but I consider it a must. A dragon? A paragon? So it crashed. It crashed. Yeah. Okay, he's allergic to crayfish. Okay, fine. Yeah, look what I drew. I did this drawing for you. A drawing of Buck. The child drew Buck. Okay. I'm looking to see if I've missed any spirits I can grab. Ah, they just tell you. That's the only way to find it out. The hummingbird on the back of the big, bull told me the allergies for the bull. I mean, it's kind of trial and error. It's kind of trial and error, because you hand them food and they say whether or not they like it, they don't like it, if they're allergic to it, things like that. big hat. Now let's get even wackier. Let's go to the loom. Let's play with the crusher. Let's experiment. Oh. This is so wild. Please. Say yes. Awesome. Here's a bunch of junk you can try out. Big hat. I've heard the others talk about their houses. What's that about? I didn't get it. Everyone has their own tree house just for them? Why go through the trouble? My parents would never go for it. One house for everyone. That makes more sense. Less cleaning. Wait a second. Could I have a house too? Just for me? Okay. I need paper. Yes, paper. You gotta find some paper. I think I know how to make some. My mom would mix things together to make it. You could do that, couldn't you? Yay, thanks. You're awesome, big hat. Hi, Chick. How are you? I appreciate you hanging out, Henry. Hope work goes well for you tomorrow. You have a great night. Kaiser, or Story, could you give Henry a quick shout out, please? Henry is a fellow member of Team Clancast. Thank you so much. Do go give him a follow. I gotta remember where Edinburgh. Is it over here? That's Oxbury. South Point. What's Edgeborough Line. Have a good night. I have been adoring this game, Shake. And I'm not even halfway done with it. This game has got me to cry, it's got me to laugh, it's made me angry. It's giving me all the feelings. Hoping paper isn't made in the oven. It is. Sawdust and household glue. Lime powder, okay. Here, let's hug the mushroom child. Oh wow, you're good at this. And then the mini game I'm not good at. This is honestly the only mini game I'm not that great at. Even if I'll sit here and I'll stare at it and I try to follow it on time, I just don't. No, I want to go out of the thank you game. So I need glue and sawdust. And you might be asking yourself, glue and sawdust? Yes, I'm making paper. In the oven. You don't eat glue and sawdust! Would you stop? Hey, big hat! Okay, you found sawdust and glue. Oh, that's not how my mom would make paper, though. That paper would be half-assed. That's something my mother said sometimes. But you could still combine the two. It might even be better. I don't know. Now you just need to find a way to actually make it. Maybe you could eat it. Yeah, try cooking it. The best things are cooked, right? I think. I'm not allowed in the kitchen. I make mistakes. Ooh. Out of the way. Okay, rude ass. Don't talk to rude ass. Still looking alright. Wow. Are all the people here rude? Hey, you. The name's Randy. I know. Aren't you all you merchants supposed to be called Theodore? Yes, but none of you stop paying your franchise fees to Raccoon Inc. Listen, hear me out. I know what you're thinking. This guy looks shady. Well, that's right. That's why I cut off my arm and my leg to get you the best prices. And not just the best prices, the best items. Take a look and remember. My name's Randy and my stock can't be beat. Okay, your bovine license, olive seeds and sugar cane. I need that. I need Buck's Layer of Wonders. I can sell the rest of the sawdust. Now I gotta figure out how to get there. Okay. Repair. There we go. Oh, I got a bovine license! Let's go. Ooh, sugarcane and large glim. Let's go. Ooh, muesli. Let's go. Another new recipe. Like some new stuff. And I fell down. That's not what I wanted. Okay, I need to go back this way. Nice. Good job finding the sheet music for the autumn end. Now let her rip. Go play the song in the middle there. Let's stop this madness. Unite us. Amazing. You sure know how to rock. I told you. I told them. It's the same song. Thanks for settling this argument. Now these so-called music lovers will leave us alone. Yeah. Okay. No, I want to go this way, thank you. Hi! I'm the Lizard King! You heard him? He's the Lizard King! You heard him? He said he's the Lizard King! Buzz off. Wow. He said he's the Lizard King. I can't argue with him. We got it. The song rules even more. Am I supposed to argue with him and say he's not the Lizard King? I mean, that'd be kind of rude. Let him be what he wants to be. If he wants to be the Lizard King, he can be the Lizard King. I need to get into here. Oh no, I already did. Okay. So I got everything here, it looks like. I was looking to see if I missed anything. It doesn't look like it. Back to the ship. The long run back. Are you gonna be mean too? Don't. Yeah, you're mean too. Why is everyone here mean? I don't understand. Everyone in that town is mean. Let's plant some sugar cane. Sunflower seeds. And I'll plant more sugar cane. And then I've got to go to Sleepy's because we can't navigate anywhere. We do have ads in 9 minutes, so I'm going to pause here. I'm going to run ads. That way those who come in are not hit with pre-rolls. And it also doesn't interrupt anything. And I'll see everyone on the other side. And welcome back from ads, Ohana. Let's get back into this. Perfect. Yes, I can feel its venerable magic throwing through my nostrils. Its perfume possesses the distinct aroma of lilac and elderberries. Look at it. Cryptic runes, silvery ornaments. Without the shadow of a doubt, the scroll is written in the ancient language of Nagadan. Make a knowledge roll. 18. Fantastic. Your success indicates you can read Old Gadanian proficiently. Commander, let yourself be guarded by its enchanted instructions. Once the house is built, I can finally read the rest of the scenario. Once the lair is erected, I will rest at last, and I will have the power to pierce through the ethereal veil and communicate with the elemental powers. My humble fate lies in your hands, Commander. God, does he talk so much? I can't help. I can't. God, yeah. I think he's the most long-winded of all of the characters we've met so far. Oh, silk fiber. Cool. Thanks. That looks exactly like paper. It's even pretty cool. Yes, that will do it. Just give it to me now. I could draw some blueprints on it. That will work. I have crayons in my house. A bunch of them are hiding in the sofa. Thanks, Big Hat. I'll start by drawing the nicest blueprints ever. The biggest and most beautiful houses. Maybe someday I could draw buildings for real? Yeah, someday. My time is quite valuable. However, I've noticed that a passenger is missing. What was his name? That bombastic friend of yours? Oh, well. Yeah, Atul is gone. Where did Atul go? If you see your uncle, tell him that was an okay meal. I've seen better in my day. Still, it was pretty good. Free grub, finally. Munchkin. There, I made these for you. Oh no. Atul's gone. We didn't even get to say goodbye. He left. I don't know how to feel about that. Atul's just gone. Pine and slate. I'm kind of sad. Atul just left. He didn't even say goodbye. He went to the door and that was it. Like, he didn't even... Yeah. I guess maybe he didn't want to because he's... No, he is. I just got the Spiritfarer. The Spiritfarer means he's gone. See? Yeah, and there's nothing. He's just gone. He's gone. That really sucks. I mean, I guess maybe he didn't want to say goodbye because, like I said, he's the character's uncle, but still. It's kind of sucky if he's just gone. Because he's another character I really liked. It has fruits. Oh, you don't like fruits. Okay. Feed these sheep because they're now hungry. There we go. Let's go. Mickey wants to decorate. Fuck off, I know. Get the stuff all taken care of that I need to get taken care of. Water this. Ah! I was trying to water this, not the other one. There we go. Plant some sunflower seeds because we've got to keep an abundance of those for the chickens. I'm just gonna have all sunflower seeds growing in here right now. You got this. We're counting on you here. Show us what you've got. Ready? Yes. Let's do this. Look at this, Mickey. Shit. I forgot how hard it is to get the pulsar ore. No! No! Come back! Damn it! I'm just gonna go out here and explore because I haven't really uncovered the rest of this map. Maybe I should just hold on to some pulsar ore and take it to one of the turtles and just grow it on a turtle. That's why I'm not driving myself insane trying to catch it in the mini game. I think that's the smartest idea. That's true, assuming it allows me to, yeah. I mean... Okay, so this is... Comets, which I don't really need. It's a meteor shower, which I don't really need. Head to a meteor shower, though. What are you doing? I can't... Look, child, I need to access the... Fire. Smithy. Well, now I can do I can make a smithy. Now I've made the smithy. Which should allow me... There we go! Crystal glass, clear glass, steel sheet, celestial sheet. So I've got to figure out... No. I've got to figure out which one I need to upgrade. Astrid's room. Clear. Okay, I need clear for Astrid. 2 bronze and crystal glass. Brass and clear and... Okay. I need clear. Okay. I have a present for you. I found this in my room and I thought you might need it. Thank you, small child. Made lime, so that should get me what I need for Astrid's room. And I need bronze and clear glass for them. This one's at least easy. Why is the small child just staying here now? I don't understand! I now need aluminium ingot for Astrid. Okay. Gotta watch this needle. Right, got the aluminium. Small child, you're making it very difficult for me to use the blueprint. Bronze and crystal clear glass. So I need one more bronze and two crystal clear glass for them. Okay. Look what I drew! I'll do this drawing for you. Oh, it's a drawing of himself! That's kind of cute. So hungry, Commander. I'm sorry it's required but a fragment of your precious time, but I gladly accept a modest meal. A vile hunger tortures my innards. Humble thanks, Commander. The sustenance is right on time. My hunger's reaching level 1.
Wow.
He is so long-winded. Grandiose. As uncouth as it would be for me to pose as a true specialist, I can assure you this machine you built is perfect. Be proud of yourself, Skipper. Now you can craft the most elaborate materials with the greatest ease. Art can finally move forward. There are, of course, technicalities involved. As I said, I'm far from being a skilled blacksmith myself. All I can tell you, Skipper, is that it is most probably rather straightforward. My understanding is that each material has its own specific heating and hammer shaping properties. Some will require constant small hammer hits, some will have you whack on it with the highest strength you can muster. Watching how hot your hammer becomes will be a crucial observation skill. But enough blathering, go at it. I'll watch you from a safe distance right over here. Wonderful. That was impressive, Skipper. You really did well for a neophyte. You must have noticed that if your hammer runs too hot, letting it cool down without hitting the materials is paramount of importance. It's a game of patience, precision, and vigor. Different materials behave differently of this. You can be certain, but I'm sure you must already be giddy with the anticipation at the idea of forging new materials. Well, despair not, my little grasshopper. A vast array of fine elements will be needed to build all I have in mind. Oh. There you go. I know what you guys want. There you go, corn dog. Ooh, got some coal. No, that's slate, never mind. What's in the box? Ash, log, wheat seed, empty bottle, olive seed, and sugar cane. Thank you for the fish. Go to Irina. Why are you... Here, get a hug. I was entirely of a spirit heal. My mana was lower. I apologize for the noise. Clear glass. I don't have pine. I don't know where to get pine. I could build Beverly's house. I need crystal glass and bronze. Okay. As I just run around trying to get it. Wait! This is ADHD in full force. I can't stay still. I gotta get more silica powder and copper. Let's make this copper. Grab the flowers that are grown. Water these. I'll plant some wheat here. Sugar cane here. And then another sunflower here. Quartz. This should be coal, I think, is what I left here. And then these should be zinc. There we go. I cannot leave the pulsar ore. Alright. That answers that. Yeah, I'm done. Go to the bus stop, I guess. Yeah, true. It would make it redundant. Oh, this rain, will it ever stop? Sorry, Commander, I'm in no need of such reinvigorating embrace. My mana is full. Yeah, you're right. It would make it very redundant if I could just farm them, I guess. This is gonna be a failed experiment with the leak. You watch. Yeah. Okay, let's travel. As much as I don't want to do this. I'm gonna turn the music off for this. Off to the Everdor. Stella. Ah, we finally arrived. I feel so weak. Can we go now? Yeah. Okay, let's do this. I can't hold it any longer. I'm gonna tell you right now, if they insult her by putting her next to Giovanni, I'm gonna be pissed. Thank you for blankie time. I'm serious though, if they put her next to Giovanni, I'm gonna be so mad. Because Giovanni screwed her over so bad. I don't think it's wise to live that long, Munchkin. Good thing I've never been that wise, but boy am I old. Being this old is disappointing. You just end up being ugly on the outside and rotten on the inside, and it hurts so much. Life is suffering. It is hard. The world is cursed, but still you find reasons to keep on living. I don't regret a thing, you know. I don't regret the struggles. I don't regret the hardships, the pain, the sorrow. And I've seen so much of it. But still, I don't regret what I've done or how I've lived my life. I just wish the world had been a better place. Amen. A better place for them, for us. Surely a better place for you, my dear. Feel like a vast vessel with so many dusty rooms and cabins. I have so many of them, so many memories. Some of them are gone, but some of them will live on forever. In you, in others. I remember their faces as they trembled in fear. I remember their houses and the parties they threw. I remember their songs and their love. I remember their touch, their warmth. It's all fading away now, Munchkin. It's fading away. It's all grey, all white, all foggy. Is it all gone already? I don't see much anymore. You're still here with me, aren't you? You're still here, Stella? Don't you forget about me, please. I don't care about anyone else. But you, don't you forget about me. I'm telling you. I'll come back and haunt you if you do. I can feel it coming. Goodbye, Stella. Just follow your heart and keep smiling. I'm gonna miss Astrid. I don't know why this game has gotten me as it has. I really don't. But it seriously has gotten to me. It's a really good game. It really is. I'm trying not to end the game on a sad note, though. I don't want to end the stream on a sad note. Good morning. I think it's understandable I don't want to end the game on a sad note. Well, not the game, but end the stream on a sad note. Oh, my friend John has been sent to prison. He was a blacksmith. He was caught forging other people's signatures. Oh my god. I need silk fabric, crystal glass, and silver ore. Okay. What do I need for crystal glass? Silica powder and zinc. I made schnitzel! Blessed be the stars, an old-fashioned entree. A treat of ancestral beauty. It's so beautiful. So he likes old-fashioned shit. Okay. Give you that. Give you a salad. Where's my mushroom child? I know he wants decorations. My mushroom child's not there. Where's my mushroom child? Oh, okay. I'm starting to panic and wonder. I was having a panic. You don't want fruit, right? Mushroom child, you gave me a panic. Where was the silver dragon? Over here, okay. make some sugar. Crusher to experiment. Foundry, okay. Big hat! Why can't I eat whatever I want all the time? Big hat, please. Prissy, please. No fair. Mom was also tired of hearing me on about food. She even had a rule that I couldn't say certain words that next to each other would say what I wanted to eat. Like, oh, I can't say it. Mom would be mad. But I found a loophole. She never said I couldn't ask for French fries. For French fries. Oh, he wants French fries. Okay. French fries. I'm gonna guess it's oil and potato. Oil. Potato. Get that wheat seed planted. Time to go after the silver dragon. Bonk! I'm giving him a very bad headache. And I should feel bad about this. How the hell am I supposed to get up there? Because I can't. Oh, there we go. Bonk. Could you imagine if someone decided to take a pickaxe to your head because they thought that would help you feel better? Yes. A pickaxe to the brain feels wonderful. Thank you. Not. I'm not gonna pickaxe you. Come on now. That's terrible. That's terrible. That's bad, and you should feel bad about suggesting that. French fries! French fries! Where's my child? Child, where are you? Oh, he's in his room. I have a present for you. I found this in my room and I thought you might need it. Oh, thank you, child. I'm not hungry. That's weird because I'm always very hungry, but not now for some reason. Did you give me food recently? That might be why. Like this other crystal glass sheet. Make this clear one. Did we make it to be able to travel or not? We did. Okay. And go back to Oxbury and get Beverly. The wheat's coming! Mushroom child, I have French fries for you. Where did he go? Oh, he's up here. Come here. What? French fries? How did you know? That's my favorite food in the whole world. You're amazing, big cat. Wait, are you a chef? Are you sure you're not a chef? Class restaurant grade good food. Yum. Yeah! Oh wow, you're good at this. Well, we made Mushroom Child happy. Let's go get Beverly. As I go into the wrong door. Sweet pea, are you going to apologise about the house? Yes. Well, don't. It's nice and all, but remember, never apologise just because someone asks you to. The real culprit here is obviously Anthony. He might be a professional architect, but he's an amateur record keeper. If he thinks that house was from our family, then he must think very little of me. What a joke. He's heard the last of me. Men who needs them. Well then, let's go boards. I can't wait to see my house. The right one, that is. I need to figure out how to get up there. Oh, I've got to feed the sheep. Nice job. Oh wow, you really pulled out all the stops. I knew I could count on you to build me this house. It took more tries than I imagined, but that's alright. Having you around is quite the treat. My kids just don't come as often as I'd like. They're busy with their own lives. I'm just not a part of theirs anymore. Well, that's what neighbours are for. I'm glad you moved in upstairs. You've always been a helping hand, and you and Daffodil are so quiet. That's what makes you such a great listener. Well then, let me get settled in. That house and I need some time to reconnect. A good night's sleep in my own bed will do me wonders. We'll talk soon. Alright, we're going back to Albert because I need to see what I need. From Albert. Well, not from Albert, for Albert. To get the next upgrade for the ship. You don't like fruit! Okay! Have some popcorn. Alright, you like comfort food. Okay. I also gotta figure out what I need for his house. Clear glass and pine, that's right. And I can't do that. Because I don't know where to get pine. I want. Oh god, this is the fucking Roberto joke. You repeat jokes. Silk and crystal glass. Alright. Alright, that's the silk done. I need zinc ingots. Do I have zinc on me? Thank goodness I have zinc on me. here we go upstairs and we make the rest of this glass. I wish I could make more than one at a time. It'd be nice if I could make more than one at a time. God, I have so much stuff to farm now. I also gotta figure out how to get the cow. I need to get cows because I'm guessing there's milk and stuff that you can get. They should be the last upgrade. Well, not the last, but the next upgrade for the ship. Oh, I need one more sheet! Shit! I thought I made them all! I need one more silica powder, okay. Let's go get that silica powder done. Silica powder done. Let's cook some more food. Did I just stick sugar in there by itself? Yes. And I'm taking it out. Let's go make this last piece of glass. Get down here to this fort. Go to Albert. I don't want to hear your joke about Roberto. Moon Solar. Oh, okay. Hell, ship's been upgraded again. We have mail. It's an island, boss. Hey, are you hurt? Hey, you! Are you hurt? Are you sick? Are you rich? Then come on to Overbrook, your one-stop shop for all your health needs, featuring state-of-the-art expert medical staff and gourmet cuisine from a modern cafeteria. See you soon! Okay. Travel? And I think this is gonna make it so that we can't travel. No, we can still kind of travel. Gonna go to Overbrook. Once we get to Overbrook, probably gonna end stream. Yeah, I figured it was gonna be too dark. Actually, you know what? We're gonna actually end here. I'm gonna say thank you to everyone for today. We are gonna go ahead and find someone to raid. Let's see who's on that we can throw a raid to. Alright. Remember that you are loved, you are valid, and you matter, and do something to make someone smile today, because tomorrow is not promised. Tell them you love them. I love you, my Ohana. You have a great night. We're gonna go ahead and raid. We're gonna go ahead and raid Paladin Mags. He's currently playing Assassin's Creed, the new one that just came out. I will be back tomorrow at 4 PM with Alien Isolation. If you are subbed, this is your raid. If you are not subbed, this is your raid message. If you are subbed, this is your raid message.